on Midco Sports tonight, coach talk from both Augie's Jerry Oshevsky and SDSU's John Stiglmeyer. Then hear from UND hockey players about this weekend's rivalry series. And finally, a feature on Sioux Falls Lincoln strength coach Hunter Glasscock, who also works with the Miami Heat. All of that plus much more, Midco Sports Tonight kicks off right now. Hello, happy Thursday, everyone. I'm Kelly Stewart, and this is Midco Sports Tonight. Well, since it is Thursday, it's time to talk a little Summit League here on the show, and for that, we have our Summit League expert, Tom Nieman.
Hello, Stewart.
Well, hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Wonderful.
All right, Tom, let's start with volleyball because
Yes.
everyone loves that. Teams are at the halfway point, finished the first lap of the conference season, and the Summit League's a little top-heavy. You have ORU at 6-1, and then NDSU 6-2, Denver 5-2, last year's champs, USD also at 5-2. So heading into this lap 2, the final lap, what do you see happening?
Probably more of the same. They might finish in that same order that they are right now, Stu. The top four have to face each other again one more time here at the end of the season, and I can't see any one of them beating all three of the others, so I think it's going to stay pretty bunched up at the top of the standings. Denver and South Dakota tied for the regular season championship last year at 13-3, and this year's champion's probably going to have somewhere similar to that same record. And you can pretty much go right down the standings, put them side by side with the attack percentage numbers, and they match up. Not just lots of kills for those top teams, but lots of kills with the fewest attack errors. And Oral Roberts is the team right now with the best hitting numbers. Denver's right behind them. South Dakota's right behind Denver, so that holds up. North Dakota State, as you see here, one of the best defensive teams in the league right now. They're first in total blocks. Their libero, Michaela Purnell, leads the league in digs, but NDSU is fifth in attack percentage. I think that number is very telling, especially when the top teams play each other, and they do that this weekend. North Dakota State is at home against South Dakota. Oral Roberts and Denver both play at Fort Wayne this weekend. Fort Wayne has already beaten North Dakota State on their home floor, so the Dons are in the mix right now as well. But it's going to be interesting. It's probably going to stay very tight in the standings here in the next 3 weeks.
There's some good volleyball in the league. It's fun to watch.
There really is, yeah.
But onto the soccer field, women's soccer. Let's start with the SDSU Jackrabbits. They're on a roll. They've won 5 in a row. Just posted a 3-0 shutout against Western Illinois over the weekend. So here's head coach Brock Thompson and senior Nicole Hatcher on the recent success.
We talk all the time about how hard it is to win in the Summit League, and it was. I didn't feel it was necessarily our best game that we played, but I felt like it may have been the best game as far as us creating goal-scoring chances. And obviously scoring 3 goals is a great accomplishment. We created 3 or 4 more chances that really could have led to goals.
It's been a good feeling, but as we talk about in practice, that when there's a bunch of good things going, it's easy to be positive and stay positive. But those are also the times that we have to work the hardest to stay on top of our game and not slip up and kind of reverse a trend.
All right, Hatcher, by the way, has been fabulous. 3 goals and 3 assists in the 3 Summit League games so far for South Dakota State.
Yeah, she's an impressive name we've heard a lot when it comes to Summit League soccer. So 3 or 4 games left before the Summit League tournament for the conference teams. And again, like volleyball, it's kind of top heavy. I mean, NDSU's out in front at 4-1, but then that 2nd through 4th place spot is kind of a top off. SDSU, Oral Roberts, and Denver, but then it drops off to either 1-win teams or 0-win teams. Only 4 teams make the conference tournament. What do you see happening with the remaining games?
Well, South Dakota might be one team that could probably jump into that top 4 if they play well. They would have to win their last 3 regular season games, including a win at South Dakota State, so we'll see what happens with the Coyotes. But as you said, without IUPUI in the league this year, you only get 7 Summit League games, so the final standings are going to be bunched up more this year than they were last year even. North Dakota State only has 2 regular season matches left, and the last one at South Dakota State. The Jackrabbits, they still have 4 matches left, with those last 2 coming at home against USD and North Dakota State. So we will see, but it looks very much right now like the 4 teams that made the postseason tournament last year could be the same again this year. South Dakota State, North Dakota State, Denver, and Oral Roberts in women's soccer.
All right, well, finally we get to talk some basketball, my favorite. We've had Brad Newitt on the past 2 weeks.
Brilliant.
Great, brilliant personality. We talked about the preseason polls with him, but we haven't gotten your take yet. So what is that? I mean, the men's team, it was South Dakota State at the top, but USD right behind them. Women's poll, SDSU at the top. Western, USD. So were there any surprises in the poll? Anything you thought?
I think at the top anyway, I think it's pretty well nailed. The USD and South Dakota State men probably where they should be is basically co-favorites to win the Summit League regular season. We are fortunate to have the top 3 Player of the Year candidates, though, in the Dakotas with Mike Dahm at SDSU, Matt Money at USD, and then Paul Miller at North Dakota State. That's going to be fun to watch all season. Up in Brookings, you have Mike Dahm and Reed Tellinghusen and Tevin King back, and 7 guys that played a lot of minutes last year. The Jacks have a new point guard. This guy right here, his name is Brandon Key, a junior college transfer who will make the Jacks get up and down the floor with a little more quickness this year. They've got Key and a kid named David Jenkins, a freshman from Tacoma, Washington. They'll be 2 of the new faces, along with all of those guys returning for the Jackrabbits. So South Dakota State picked up there with USD on the men's side. Probably got that right as we get to the end of the season. We'll see.
Key could be the key to success.
Key.
That's a perfect last name. Well, finally, you and your daughter Hannah emceed the Jackrabbits tip-off event. And I know this is more of a fun event, not necessarily like, oh, what's a scout? But how was it?
We had a ton of fun. They do all the contests, the 3-point shooting and all that kind of thing. A dunk contest, which Dallas Polk Hilliard, another one of the new guys at South Dakota State, won. But Macy Miller is back for the Jacks. It was great to see her just get out and do anything. She's rehabbing after missing most of the season last year with an injury. And on the women's side, they really like Tylee Irwin, who's from Wapaton, North Dakota, Stu, could play a part this year. I don't know how the freshmen or the red shirts are going to work out for the men or the women yet, but they really like Tylee Irwin as a player for the Jackrabbits on the women's side.
I'm excited to watch. It's always fun to see good freshmen.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of them in the league this year.
Oh, man. Well, thanks so much, Tom.
Thanks,
Great
Stu.
stuff.
You bet.
All right, well, moving to the ice, we have another Minnesota UND hockey trivia question for the day. It's kind of a theme. So the last time a UND player had a 6-point game was in 2001 against Minnesota. Who achieved the 6-point mark in that 7-5 win over the Gophers? Give it some thought, and we'll have the answer for you at the end of the show. When we come back, hear from Augustana football head coach Jerry Olszewski about last week's big win and what to expect this Saturday. This is Midco Sports Tonight.
Midco Sports Tonight, presented by Avera Orthopedics.